whispers across the miles, a love beyond boundaries. The story begins with a serendipitous encounter that neither Emily nor Alexander could have predicted. In a world where digital communication reigned supreme, they found themselves drawn to an older, more intimate form of connection: letter writing. This unexpected journey of love began on a warm summer evening when Emily, a writer, found herself exploring an antique shop in a quaint English village. As she wandered through the aisles, her fingers brushed against a stack of old yellowed letters tied together with a delicate silk ribbon. Intrigued, she asked the shopkeeper about them. The elderly woman, with a knowing smile, explained that the letters had belonged to a couple who had written to each other during World War II. Emily, always a romantic at heart, was captivated by the idea of two souls connecting through words in a time of such uncertainty. On an impulse, she purchased the letters and took them home. That night, as the rain softly tapped against her window, Emily began to read the first letter. It was from a soldier, stationed far from home, writing to his beloved. His words were filled with longing, hope, and an unwavering love that seemed to transcend the pages. Moved by the emotion in the letters, Emily decided to write a letter herself. Not to anyone in particular, but to the universe, expressing her thoughts, dreams, and deepest desires. She wrote about the kind of love she yearned for, one that was profound, enduring, and full of passion. Without much thought, she addressed it simply to my future love and slipped it into an envelope. In the days that followed, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that her letter needed to be sent somewhere. On a whim, she found an online pen pal service that connected people worldwide. She decided to send her letter to the first person who caught her attention: Alexander, a historian living in a small town in Scotland. Alexander received Emily's letter a few weeks later. Initially puzzled by the unexpected correspondence, he was soon captivated by her words. There was something raw and honest about the way she expressed herself, something that resonated deeply with him. Alexander, a man who had always preferred the company of books to people, found himself compelled to reply. He wrote back, sharing his own thoughts on love, life, and the simple pleasures that filled his days. He spoke of the rolling hills of Scotland, the ancient castles he often visited, and the quiet solitude of his life. But most importantly, he shared his longing for a connection that went beyond the superficial. Thus began a beautiful exchange of letters between Emily and Alexander. Each letter they wrote revealed more of their hearts, their hopes, and their fears. Through their words, they built a bridge between their worlds, one that grew stronger with each passing day. Months turned into years, and their letters became the highlight of their lives. They shared everything: joys, sorrows, and the little moments that made life meaningful. They fell in love with each other's minds, with the way they expressed themselves, and with the understanding that developed between them. Their letters were filled with poetry, quotes from their favorite books, and stories from their daily lives. As their connection deepened, they began to dream of meeting in person. Yet, there was also a fear that the magic they had created through their letters might not translate into the physical world. They had built a love that was pure and untarnished by the realities of everyday life, and the thought of losing that frightened them both. However, the pull of their love was too strong to resist. One crisp autumn morning, Alexander suggested they meet in Paris, a city known for its romance where many love stories had begun. Emily agreed, and they set a date for the following spring. The months leading up to their meeting were filled with anticipation and anxiety. They continued to write, but there was an undercurrent of tension in their letters. Both feared that the reality of who they were might not live up to the idealized versions they had created in their minds. Finally, the day arrived. Emily stood by the Seine, her heart racing as she clutched the latest letter from Alexander in her hand. She had dressed in a simple, elegant dress, her hair swept up in a loose bun. She scanned the crowd, looking for the face she had imagined so many times. And then, she saw him. Alexander was exactly as she had pictured, tall, with dark hair, and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. But there was something more, something that no letter could have conveyed. A warmth, a kindness, a sense of familiarity that made her feel as if she had known him her entire life. They approached each other slowly, the world around them fading into the background. When they finally stood face to face, neither spoke. Instead, they simply looked at each other, the weight of their shared history heavy in the air. Then, without a word, Alexander took Emily's hand and led her to a nearby cafe. Over coffee and croissants, they talked about everything and nothing. The ease of their conversation, the way they finished each other's sentences, and the comfort they found in each other's presence confirmed what they had both feared to hope, that their love was real, not just a figment of their imagination. The days that followed were a whirlwind of exploration and discovery. They walked hand in hand through the streets of Paris, visited museums, and shared meals in cozy bistros. They laughed, teased, and even argued, but always with the knowledge that they had something special, something worth fighting for. As their time in Paris drew to a close, they faced the inevitable question: what next? They had built a life together through their letters, but now they had to figure out how to merge their separate worlds into one. The decision was not an easy one, but it was clear to both of them that they could no longer live apart. Emily decided to move to Scotland, where they would start their life together. It was a big change, but one she was ready for, knowing that Alexander would be by her side. They said goodbye to Paris with a promise to return every year, to celebrate the city that had brought them together. Back in Scotland, they continued to write letters to each other, even though they were now living under the same roof. It was a tradition they refused to let go of, a reminder of how their love had begun. Their letters became a way to communicate their deepest thoughts and feelings, a practice that kept their love strong and vibrant. Years passed, and their love only grew stronger. They married in a small ceremony in the Scottish Highlands, surrounded by the people who had supported them throughout their journey. On their wedding day, they exchanged letters instead of vows, reading them aloud to each other in front of their guests. In time, they started a family, sharing their love of letters with their children, teaching them the importance of words and the power they held. Their home was filled with books, laughter, and of course, letters, reminders of the love that had brought them together. As they grew older, Emily and Alexander continued to write, their letters now filled with the wisdom that comes with age. They reflected on their journey, on the love that had sustained them through the years, and on the simple joys of their life together. One day, as they sat by the fire, Emily handed Alexander a letter. It was the same letter she had written all those years ago, addressed to my future love. Alexander smiled as he read it, his eyes filling with tears. He had never known about this letter, the one that had started it all. It was a reminder of how far they had come, and of the love that had been waiting for them, even before they had found each other. Their love story was one for the ages, a testament to the power of words, of patience, and of the belief that true love can conquer any distance. They had found each other through letters, and it was through those letters that they had built a life together, one filled with love, joy, and a connection that would last a lifetime. In the end, it wasn't just the letters that had brought them together, it was the love behind the words, the belief in each other, and the willingness to take a chance on something beautiful. And as they sat together, hand in hand, they knew that their love story was far from over. There were still letters to write, memories to create, and a love to nurture, a love that had begun with a simple letter and had grown into something extraordinary.
High School Romance: A Love to Remember. Chapter 1: A New Beginning. The bell rang loudly through the halls of Evergreen High School, signaling the start of a new school year. For many students, it was a day filled with excitement and nervous anticipation. For Emily Carter, it was another day to blend into the background. Emily was a junior, known for her quiet demeanor and her love for books. She kept to herself, preferring the company of her novels over the bustling social life of high school. As Emily walked to her locker, she couldn't help but noticed the new boy standing at the end of the hallway. He had a confident air about him, with dark hair that fell into his eyes and a smile that seemed to light up the room. She had never seen him before, but there was something about him that intrigued her. "Hey, Emily," called out her best friend, Sarah, snapping her out of her thoughts. "Did you see the new guy? He's in our history class. His name is Jack Dawson." Emily nodded, trying to appear indifferent. "Yeah, I saw him. He seems interesting." Sarah laughed. "Interesting? He's gorgeous. And I heard he's really nice too. Maybe this year won't be so bad after all." Emily smiled, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Jack was going to change everything. Chapter 2: Unexpected Encounters. Days turned into weeks, and Emily found herself stealing glances at Jack during history class. He was always surrounded by people, his easygoing nature and quick wit making him popular almost instantly. Emily tried to focus on her studies, but her mind kept drifting to Jack. One rainy afternoon, as Emily was hurrying to her car, she slipped on the wet pavement and fell hard on her knee. Pain shot through her leg, and she winced, trying to get up. Before she could move, a hand reached out to help her. "Are you okay?" Jack's concerned voice cut through the rain. He helped her to her feet, his touch gentle. "I'm fine," Emily said, trying to hide her embarrassment. "Just a little clumsy, I guess." Jack smiled. "Happens to the best of us. Do you need a ride home?" Emily hesitated but then nodded. "That would be great, thanks." As they drove, they talked about school, their favorite books, and their dreams for the future. Emily was surprised at how easy it was to talk to Jack. He was genuinely interested in what she had to say, and for the first time in a long while, she felt seen. Chapter 3: Growing Closer. Over the next few months, Emily and Jack's friendship grew stronger. They spent hours talking, studying together, and sharing their favorite music. Emily found herself looking forward to their time together, her heart skipping a beat whenever he was near. One crisp autumn evening, Jack invited Emily to his house to watch a movie. They settled on the couch with a bowl of popcorn, the glow of the screen casting a warm light over the room. Halfway through the movie, Jack turned to Emily, his eyes serious. "Emily, I need to tell you something," he said softly. "I've liked you since the first day I saw you. You're different from anyone I've ever met, and I can't stop thinking about you." Emily's heart raced. She had dreamed of this moment, but never thought it would actually happen. "I like you too, Jack," she whispered. Jack's face lit up with a smile, and he leaned in, gently pressing his lips to hers. It was a kiss filled with promise and new beginnings, and Emily knew in that moment that her life had changed forever. Chapter 4: Facing Challenges. As winter set in, Emily and Jack's relationship blossomed. They spent their days laughing, exploring the town, and making memories. But high school is never without its challenges, and rumors started to spread about their relationship. One afternoon, Emily found herself cornered by a group of girls in the bathroom. "You really think Jack likes you?" sneered Lisa, the leader of the group. "You're nothing special." Emily's heart sank, but she stood her ground. "Jack likes me for who I am, and that's all that matters." When Jack found out about the incident, he was furious. "Don't let them get to you, Emily. You're amazing, and I'm lucky to have you." Together, they faced the challenges head-on, their bond growing stronger with each obstacle. They learned to trust each other, to support each other, and to love each other despite the odds. Chapter 5: A Love to Remember. As graduation approached, Emily and Jack looked forward to the future with hope and excitement. They had plans to attend the same college, to continue building their lives together. On the night of their graduation, Jack took Emily to the place where they had first met, the spot where he had helped her up after she fell. "Emily," Jack said, taking her hands in his, "this is where it all began. And I want you to know that no matter where life takes us, I will always love you. You're my best friend, my confidant, and the love of my life." Tears filled Emily's eyes as she smiled at Jack. "I love you too, Jack. Forever and always." They sealed their promise with a kiss, the stars shining brightly above them. Their journey had only just begun, but they knew that with each other, they could face anything. Emily and Jack's love story was one for the ages, a tale of friendship, courage, and unwavering love. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most unexpected encounters can lead to the most beautiful adventures. Chapter 6: Building a Future. College brought new experiences and challenges, but Emily and Jack faced them together. They navigated the pressures of academics, made new friends, and found ways to balance their busy schedules. Their love continued to grow, deepening with each passing day. One sunny afternoon, Jack took Emily on a surprise trip to the park where they often studied. He led her to a secluded spot by the lake, where a blanket and a picnic basket were waiting. "Emily, we've been through so much together," Jack began, his eyes filled with love. "You've been my rock, my partner, and my best friend. I can't imagine my life without you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, velvet box. "Will you marry me?" Emily gasped, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, Jack. 1,000 times, yes." They embraced, their hearts filled with joy and anticipation for the future. Their engagement marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with dreams of a life together, of a family, and of growing old side by side. Chapter 7: Happily Ever After. Emily and Jack's wedding was a beautiful celebration of their love. Surrounded by family and friends, they exchanged vows and promised to support each other through all of life's ups and downs. Their love story, which had begun in the hallways of Evergreen High School, had blossomed into a lifelong commitment. Years passed, and Emily and Jack built a life filled with love, laughter, and adventure. They traveled the world, explored new places, and created countless memories. Their love remained strong, a testament to the power of friendship and the beauty of finding one's soulmate. As they sat together on their porch, watching the sunset, Emily took Jack's hand. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Jack smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "We have. And I wouldn't change a thing. You're my forever, Emily." Their love story was one that would be told for generations, a reminder that true love is worth fighting for, and that sometimes, the most unexpected beginnings can lead to the most beautiful endings. Emily and Jack had found their happily ever after, and their love continued to shine brightly, a beacon of hope and joy for all who knew them. This is a story of love, courage, and the beauty of finding your soulmate in the most unexpected places. Emily and Jack's journey reminds us that true love is worth fighting for, and that with each other, anything is possible.
Love at First Sight. Chapter 1: An Unforgettable Encounter. In the heart of New York City, amidst the hustle and bustle of Times Square, Emma wandered aimlessly, lost in thought. She had just moved to the city, leaving behind her small hometown in Ohio, seeking adventure and a fresh start. Little did she know, fate had something extraordinary in store for her. As she strolled past the vibrant billboards and street performers, a sudden rain shower sent people scurrying for cover. Emma ducked into a nearby cafe, the warm aroma of coffee and pastries offering a welcome respite from the downpour. She found a cozy corner table, pulled out her notebook, and began jotting down her thoughts. A few tables away, a young man named Daniel sat, engrossed in a book. He was a writer, often frequenting this cafe for inspiration. Today, however, his concentration was broken by the sight of a young woman entering the cafe, her hair slightly damp from the rain, and her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Emma glanced up from her notebook, and their eyes met. There was an undeniable spark, a connection that neither of them could explain. She smiled shyly, and he returned the gesture. That simple exchange was the beginning of something neither of them could have anticipated. Chapter 2: A Serendipitous Meeting. The next day, Emma found herself drawn back to the same cafe. She settled into her corner once again, hoping to catch a glimpse of the intriguing man she had seen the day before. As she sipped her coffee, she felt a presence nearby. Looking up, she saw Daniel standing before her, holding a cup of coffee and wearing a warm smile. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, his voice gentle and inviting. "Not at all," Emma replied, her heart racing with excitement. They spent hours talking, sharing stories about their lives, dreams, and aspirations. Emma learned that Daniel was an aspiring novelist, struggling to find his voice in the crowded literary world. Daniel discovered that Emma was a photographer, passionate about capturing the beauty of everyday moments. As the days turned into weeks, their connection deepened. They explored the city together, from the quiet corners of Central Park to the bustling streets of Chinatown. Each moment spent together felt like a cherished memory in the making. Chapter 3: Love Blossoms. One crisp autumn evening, Daniel invited Emma to his apartment for dinner. He had spent the entire day preparing a special meal, hoping to impress her with his culinary skills. As they sat down to eat, the flickering candlelight cast a warm glow on their faces. "Emma," Daniel began, his voice filled with emotion, "I've never felt this way about anyone before. From the moment I saw you, I knew you were special. Being with you has been the most incredible experience of my life." Emma's eyes filled with tears of joy. "I feel the same way, Daniel. You've brought so much happiness into my life. I never believed in love at first sight, but now I do." They leaned in, their lips meeting in a tender kiss. It was a moment of pure magic, a culmination of all the emotions they had been feeling since that first encounter. Chapter 4: Trials and Triumphs. As their relationship blossomed, Emma and Daniel faced their share of challenges. Balancing their careers and personal lives was no easy feat. Emma's photography often took her on assignments far from the city, while Daniel's writing demanded long hours of solitude. Yet, their love only grew stronger. They learned to support each other, finding ways to stay connected despite the distance. Late-night phone calls, surprise visits, and heartfelt letters became their lifelines. One evening, while walking along the Brooklyn Bridge, Daniel stopped and took Emma's hands in his. "Emma, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Emma's face as she nodded, her heart overflowing with love. "Yes, Daniel. 1,000 times yes." Chapter 5: Forever Begins. Their wedding was a celebration of their love, surrounded by family and friends who had witnessed their journey. As they exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish each other for all eternity, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Emma and Daniel's love story became an inspiration to many, a testament to the power of love at first sight. They built a life filled with joy, adventure, and unwavering support for each other's dreams. Years passed, and their love only deepened. They grew old together, their hearts forever entwined. Even in their twilight years, they still held hands, still shared tender kisses, and still looked at each other with the same adoration they had felt on that rainy day in the cafe. And so, their story became a timeless tale of love, proof that sometimes, when you least expect it, love at first sight can lead to a lifetime of happiness. Chapter 6: A New Chapter. As Emma and Daniel sat on their porch, watching the sunset, they reflected on the life they had built together. "We've had quite the journey, haven't we?" Emma said, her voice filled with gratitude. Daniel smiled, his eyes twinkling with love. "Indeed we have. And I wouldn't trade a single moment of it." Their story continued, each day bringing new adventures and memories. They traveled the world, capturing its beauty through Emma's lens and Daniel's words. They supported each other's dreams, cheering each other on through every success and failure. Their love remained a beacon of hope, a reminder that true love knows no bounds. It transcends time and distance, growing stronger with each passing day. As they held hands, watching the sun dip below the horizon, they knew that their love story would live on forever, in their hearts, in their memories, and in the stories they shared with others. For Emma and Daniel, love at first sight was just the beginning of an extraordinary journey. And as they embraced the future, they did so with the unwavering belief that their love was truly eternal. Epilogue: A Legacy of Love. Years later, as their children and grandchildren gathered to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary, Emma and Daniel's love story became a cherished family legend. Their love had touched countless lives, inspiring others to believe in the magic of love at first sight. Their home was filled with laughter and joy, a testament to the enduring power of their love. Photos and mementos from their adventures adorned the walls, each one a reminder of the incredible journey they had shared. As they sat surrounded by their loved ones, Emma and Daniel knew that their love had created a legacy of hope, joy, and unwavering commitment. And so, their story continued, a beautiful testament to the fact that love at first sight can indeed lead to a lifetime of happiness and beyond.